So apparently, Leon S. Kennedy has no personality. Yeah, Leon, the rookie cop who survived Raccoon City by sheer instinct, determination, and a healthy dose of survivor's guilt. The man who watched his entire purpose in life go up in flames on his first day, and somehow he walked away a hero, only to be moulded into a living weapon by the government, forced to smile through PTSD with one-liners just to keep functioning. He apparently has no personality. And you know what? I am so tired of these misconceptions, because Leon spent the last 2 decades being misread, misunderstood, or worse, completely flattened into one of 2 extremes. The innocent, clueless, baby-faced cop who accidentally survived a zombie outbreak, or the smug, gun-slinging, devil-may-cry Dante reject with cheesy one-liners and absolutely no depth.
Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. Intel has told us there are at least 7.
Okay, I already see one. Give him. Okay.
They're the same picture.
But both of those takes miss something crucial. Leon is not a rookie joke, and he's definitely not a Dante clone. Leon is a tragedy. And today, we're digging into the real Leon S. Kennedy, the one hidden underneath all the sarcasm, trauma, and endlessly cool missions. So yeah, let's talk about a man who's been quietly breaking in the background of Resident Evil, and why you've probably underestimated the depth of his character this entire time. Before we go on, I am a very small creator on YouTube, so if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and comment. At the very end of this video, there'll be a secret code word to include in your comments, so keep that in mind. And don't skip. I'll know if you skip. I have eyes in the walls. And then fails on his very first day on the job. We are focusing, by the way, almost entirely on Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4, as they are part of the remake continuity, and I'm not entirely sure how much the animated films tie into the remake continuity yet, so just something to keep in mind. Leon S. Kennedy is often dismissed as just a cool action hero. Sometimes worse, sometimes people claim he has no personality at all, that he's a blank slate with nice hair and a gun. That claim could not be more wrong, in my opinion. Leon Kennedy isn't empty, he's quiet with his emotions. He's a character whose personality lives in restraint, guilt, and the need to survive. And if you trace his story carefully, from Resident Evil 2 Remake to Resident Evil 4 Remake, you realise something devastating. Leon didn't grow into a hero by choice. He was made into a hero by the need to survive, and he never stops paying the price. Raccoon City wasn't just his first day, it was his attempt at redemption. According to a Capcom interview answered in character, Leon explains why he became a cop. When he was a child, his family was involved in heinous crimes, and this association got all of them killed. He survived only because a police officer rescued him, and from that moment on, Leon decided he would become sure no one else had to be abandoned the way that he was. Editing Seer here. This is in a weird canon, non-canon limbo as of the time of recording. They haven't confirmed that this is still canon, but they also haven't retconned it officially. It's just never brought up in the games. From like my reading of Leon, I still read this as being something that's perfectly plausible, and in fact something that I really enjoy for his character, other than the blank slate childhood that they gave him otherwise, or that they haven't given him for lack thereof. So for the sake of this analysis, please just bear in mind that we're working with Schrodinger's canon here, and that in my eyes Leon is the son of, like, I don't know, a crime lord or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, back to the essay. That alone already gives Leon more internal motivation than a lot of action protagonists. He isn't chasing some abstract justice, he's trying to outgrow the sins of his father. So when Leon arrives in Raccoon City, this isn't just a new job, it's a fresh start. A symbolic rebirth, a way to prove that someone born from crime can still choose to save instead of destroy. There's even a tragic irony here. A kid raised around criminal organizations becoming a cop, not to enforce the law, but to redeem the idea of family itself. And then everything goes very wrong. Leon's first day as a police officer is a nightmare, and not just because of zombies. The day before he arrives, he gets dumped by his girlfriend. He drinks himself into a stupor, and then he's late to work because of the hangover. These details matter, because Leon doesn't enter Raccoon City as a perfectly disciplined cop ready for work. He enters it as a young man who's almost certainly in emotional freefall, already grieving the life that he just gave up. And then Raccoon City collapses around him. The police station isn't a workplace, it's a mass grave. The co-workers he was supposed to meet, laugh with, maybe even befriend are dead. Or worse. One of the most quietly brutal moments in Resident Evil 2 is actually in environmental storytelling. The infamous Welcome Leon banner hanging in the RPD, paired with a note left behind after officers were forced to kill their zombified colleagues. Be glad you're not here, rookie. Leon reads that note with a gun still warm from killing people he was meant to work beside. In another world, kind of one, maybe, those bodies would have been the people throwing him a welcome party. It really wasn't supposed to be like this. In Raccoon City, Leon does what he's always done. He tries to save people. But he doesn't save everyone. He fixates. He gets tunnel vision, one person at a time. Claire, then Marvin, then Claire again, then Ada, then Sherry. Each one becomes a lifeline to him, proof that his presence matters, that his survival has a meaning. And every single time, it goes wrong. Marvin dies. Claire is hurt and repeatedly separated from him, and Sherry survives, but only after enduring trauma no child should ever have to experience. Leon nearly dies over and over and over trying to keep them safe, which raises an uncomfortable question. Does Leon see his worth dependent on who he can save? This is where Saudade comes in. Not as background music, but as Leon's emotional autopsy. The word Saudade describes a deep, aching longing for something lost, sometimes something that never even truly existed, and that name alone fits Leon so perfectly for a song in the Resident Evil soundtrack. But the verses alone are very clearly from Leon's perspective. Where did the time go? Running scared for so many years, and now I'm here. Leon survives Raccoon City, but there's no triumph, just confusion, emotional whiplash. He went from hopeful rookie to mass casualty survivor in a single night. I look around, but I don't see anyone. Everything I love has come and gone. This isn't just about people dying. It's about a loss of identity, his career, his future, something he's trained for. The version of Leon who believed becoming a cop would fix things is all gone. I walk alone with a loaded gun. What went wrong? That line hits because the gun represents both survival and guilt. Leon lived because he learned how to kill. That contradiction will follow him forever. How he walks this path alone when he was supposed to walk it with a partner by his side. Both a cop and a girlfriend. Where did my life go? I look in the mirror, but what I see, it ain't me. This is dissociation. He doesn't even recognize himself anymore. Trauma has completely and utterly rewritten him. These streets are paved with fantasies of what the other half can be. Leon could imagine the alternate life. The one where he showed up on time, met his co-workers, went home after his shift. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. The version of himself haunts him. One where Raccoon City became his home. Where he fulfilled the path that he had laid himself as a child. And the refrain repeats again and again. The pain of remembering. Forget yesterday. It's not worth the pain. But he can't forget. And that's the tragedy. He wants to forget Raccoon City. He wants to leave it all behind because the memory does not give him enough good to counteract the pain. But he can't forget, even though he tries. After Raccoon City, Leon is given a choice. Disappear or become useful. He chooses the latter. Sherry Birkin, one of the few who escaped Raccoon City alive, needs protection, and Leon believes he can assure that safety if he signs his life over to the government. But here's the thing, Leon doesn't really have a life to throw away anymore. His girlfriend is gone, his family is gone, the RPD, his fresh start, is a tomb. Even if he walked away, where would he go? Back to a life that no longer fits him? Back as a man permanently altered by horrors and guilt that no one else can ever truly understand? So he becomes a government agent. Partly to protect Sherry, partly because he doesn't know how to exist without saving someone anymore. And maybe, just maybe, he sees himself in Sherry, a child caught in the fallout of family crimes, a survivor who will carry guilt and fear into their adulthood. Maybe Leon wants to be for Sherry what the officer once was for him, but he never gets to see her again. And instead of healing, he's sent back into hell. By Resident Evil 4, Leon is efficient, cold, professional, and exhausted. The remake makes this crystal clear. He's quiet, guarded, distrustful. The hopeful rookie is gone, replaced by a man who keeps emotional distance because closeness hurts. The jokes aren't proof that he's coping well. If anything, the jokes are proof of a barrier put between himself and the world. He fails to fully understand the situation he is in, or maybe he does understand more than anyone can possibly imagine, but if he truly lets himself feel, then it's over. Ashley is a mission. She is the president's daughter ambiguously. in the way that she is the target that he must extract. She's not a person, not a first, because attachment leads to loss, and Leon has lost more than enough. Ashley breaks through Leon's walls slowly. She asks questions, she helps, she trusts him. When she's infected, Leon promises they'll survive together, and for the first time it doesn't sound like a procedure, it sounds personal. Ashley becomes a mirror of Leon's younger self, the rookie, unprepared, thrown into hell. And there's Lewis. Leon doesn't smoke, but he lights Lewis's cigarette anyway, as he's dying, because Lewis matters. And when Lewis Sarah asks, people can change, right, in his dying breath, that question isn't for him. It's for Leon. Lewis represents what Leon could be if he continued walking down this road, isolating himself from people who love and care about him. Krauser represents what happens when trauma is allowed to rot unchecked. He isolates, he resents, he decides life is meaningless. Leon doesn't. Leon actually opens himself reluctantly to others over the course of Resident Evil 4, and that difference is everything. Leon kills Krauser not out of hatred, but because he has to, and because surely it's a mercy to kill a man who believes that life is only worth living if you're strong. It is a mercy to save him from rotting further, to save others from being a victim of Krauser. And when he learns Ada is alive, sure, he's tormented, he's got questions, he has guilt from her death, and now she's alive, and he doesn't really know what to do about that. But in the moment, he does not chase after her. He lets her go, because that chapter of his life already took enough from him. He doesn't really stick by that later on, but it's fine. It's fine. We can pretend that he has healthy coping mechanisms for a second. And so, here comes the soundtrack of this game, The Bullet or the Blade. The bullet or the blade doesn't sound like despair, it sounds like momentum pushing him forward. I remember those lost in the dark, the bullet or the blade that kept us apart. But I've been moving on, can't be still for long, because it's the only way. Leon remembers everyone, but his coping mechanism is movement. Don't stop, don't sit, don't process, just go. Never ache for a place called home, because home doesn't exist anymore, and it has never truly existed for Leon. Keep your eyes on the road ahead. Don't be drawn to the light or the shadows in your head. This is Leon actively fighting his PTSD, telling himself not to spiral, not to look back at Raccoon City, and neither to be drawn into the light, to be drawn into optimism. Optimism would allow himself to get hurt once more. And the shadows? Raccoon City. But then the line that defines him. I fought a war and I learned how to win. But how do you fight when the enemy's within? Zombies are easy. They're easy to kill. It's easy to defend yourself. The guilt? That's a far bigger battle for Leon. I've learned how to live with regret. I can't forgive, but how could I forget? This is Leon's truth. He can't absolve himself of guilt, but he can keep going, and so he does. Leon doesn't lack personality. He carries it in his restraint, in his guilt, in his jokes, in his refusal to stop caring. He's a man who survives, but he never truly escaped. And maybe that's what makes him so fun to analyse. If you enjoyed this breakdown, like the video, it genuinely really helps. Subscribe for more deep character analysis and let me know in the comments which Resident Evil character you want next. Our next video will most likely be a big Expedition 33 deep dive, so stay tuned for that. And if you stayed until the end, your secret code word is... Angel. Angel. So just put that in your comments somewhere. Anyway, bye! Thank you so much to my patrons over on Patreon, which you can find a link to in the description, and a special thank you to A007 Minor on the Land's Chosen Tip. If you'd like to go check out my Patreon, go to the link in the description, and there you will find a lot of behind the scenes work, early access to videos ad-free, and a lot more.